Now, they were accused of plotting to kidnap the president and overthrow the government. After 3 years of trial, today 6 of the accused, including serving military officers, have been convicted and sentenced to death by hanging. Senior police officer Dr. ACP Agordzo and other 2 of the accused were acquitted and discharged by the court on Wednesday. Attorney General Godfrey Adami admits there were defects in the case against ACP Agordzo. Now let's track this case from the time it began and where we are today. We do know that we have the alleged coup plotters. The charge against them was conspiracy to commit high treason. Now these are the persons who were charged with that. Now Dr. Mark Palm, he is deceased. We have Donya Kafui, Bright, Alan, Deborah Ofosu. We have Johannes Zikpi, Esther Zan Di Kowine, Colonel Seydou Abubakar. We have Lance Corporal Ali Solomon and Corporal Sylvester Akanpenwan. So these are some of the people who this charge was brought up against. Let's continue to share with you much more on this particular case. Now, we do know that we also have Colonel Samuel Kojo Gameli and then ACP Dr. Benjamin Agordzo. So these 2 were charged with abetment of the crime. So the crime was for them to plot coup, but these 2, ACP Agordzo and his other counterpart, were charged with abetment. Now let's look at the alleged coup plotters and the timeline that this had traveled. Now we know that these people were arrested somewhere in June 2019 when this issue came up. The trial itself began on June 8, 2021. Prosecution rested on July 12, 2022. And January 24, 2024, we've had judgment in this particular matter. Now, this is how the case has traveled. So let's look at the judgment that was given out, on Wednesday. For those who have been acquitted, we have Colonel Samuel Kojo Gameli, ACP Dr. Benjamin Agordzo, and Colonel Seydou Abubakar. For those who have been sentenced to death by hanging, we have Donya Kafui, he's a blacksmith. We have Bright Deborah Ofosu, Johannes Zikpi, he's civilian at Ghana Armed Forces, Esther Zan Dekuwine. We have Lance Corporal Ali Solomon and Corporal Sylvester Akampenwan. So these are the 6 people who have been sentenced to death by hanging. I'm sure you follow the issue with us all throughout and have broken the issue out for you. Now, my colleague Richard Kwajo Nyako has been in court the whole day for us, and he joins me in studio with more on this. Kwajo, how did the judge arrive at this particular judgment?
Well, so it was a marathon in court. The judgment itself was a 4-hour marathon. It started at 12:30 and we ended at 4:30. And so let me run by you the fact as put out by the prosecution. In fact, these people were accused to have belonged to an association called Take Action and had planned to stage a series of demonstrations across the country, ostensibly to topple the government. In fact, in July 2019, the accused contacted a blacksmith from Alavanyo in the Volta region to manufacture 22 explosives, 6 ammunition, and 5 pistols. The court heard that the manufacturer charged the alleged accomplices 2,300, and the cost of each pistol also amounted to 400 Ghana cedis for each explosive. So on September 19, Dr. McPalm, who is now deceased, and Kafui were arrested after test firing at the Teshi military shooting range. The Attorney General contends that a search conducted on the premises of the Citadel Hospital revealed 6 unregistered pistols, 1 registered pistol, 22 explosives, 3 grenades, 63 rounds of ammunition, 2 empty AK-47 magazines, and other machines used in manufacturing the weapons. So Justice Efia Sewa Asariboche presided over the 3-member three-member panel that adjudicated this case, and they came to the conclusion that these persons, the 6 of them, the prosecution has been able to prove its case, and so they have to be convicted to death by hanging. In fact, these were the words of the judge, that you are hereby sentenced to death by hanging by the neck, and you are to die, and where you will be buried would be upon the choosing or the orders of the president. And so these were very, very heavy words put out by the judge.
The judge. Were you looking at the faces of these people? I want to know the reaction they put up when they heard those words coming out of the judge.
So right from the courtroom, when these pronouncements were made, there were mixed reactions, a cocktail of emotions that, were over the court. Three of them, they were very excited because some of them, I think by divine, they knew that they would be acquitted and discharged today. So they wore white. They already had powder. And so they sprinkled the powder after the court on them. But the five of them, in fact, they were down. You could see it written boldly on their faces. In fact, when they marked them from the top, the second floor of the court complex building, right to a waiting van. In fact, in the van, you could see people putting their hands on their head. That indicates how heavy it was. That, imagine or picture that you've been told that you are to be hanged by the neck, and then you would die through that pain until the president decides that this is where you'll be buried. And so that was really the demeanor in court.
Okay. Have the lawyers been speaking?
Well, the lawyers have been speaking, of course. So you know that lawyer Martin Pebu was one of the lawyers, and then there was another lawyer who's one of the
Adawudu, you mean Victor
Adawudu, who represented one person, but one of his clients was acquitted and discharged.
Okay.
The other was also sentenced to death by hanging, and so he's indicating that they would appeal the case at the Court of Appeal.
We can now watch the two lawyers.
And you see that from day one, Agordzo had always made it clear that, listen, he was just giving advice about how to get citizens active, the TAG group as an NGO to get active. And there was going to be a demonstration. Then he said, look, pass through the legal means. Because he said, look, conditions are ripe in Ghana for another spring. And you see, since the time he spoke, it's gotten worse. That was before COVID hit. And you are aware that when COVID hit, about 850,000 more of our fellow Ghanaians were pushed down into the, below the poverty line. So now more people are hungry, more people are out of jobs. You see, unemployment is gone through the roof. So these are the things he's talking about. Lack of food, unemployment, etc., the suffering of the masses. That's all that he said. So he said, look, if you are going to demonstrate on such matters, pass through the legal channels. That's all that he said. And yet the state wove a very frivolous case, frivolous to the highest degree, around his neck. And today you see the court has exonerated him. We'll sue the state for compensation. Because this case has always been frivolous against him from day one. We look at malicious prosecution and all the other causes of action, because this case against Dr. Agordzo has always been frivolous to the highest degree from day one. And the Attorney General knows it.
I think I've spoken to them. I think one of my clients has been acquitted and discharged. I believe that the evidence we have put before this court, they hadn't critically looked at some of the cross-examination and evidence, some of the loopholes. And I think that it's a process. We would definitely be going to the Supreme Court for it to also look at the evidence. We believe that some of the charges, you saw the soldiers, it was conspiracy, but they've been acquitted on the substantive charge. So these are things that we would test. We will go to the Supreme Court and see. But I believe that looking at what we have put before this court, we have done it, and we will go to the Court of Appeal. Today is really, really a sad day because, yes, because it's a sad day. If you even look, they don't even have an inventory when they arrested the people.
And so that's Kojogan Victor Adawudu and Martin Pebu. But the Attorney General is the one who led the state's prosecution, right?
Freddie Abuadami was in court and he's been speaking. He says that he noticed some defects in their case. Otherwise, ACP Dr. Agordzo would have also been convicted.
The proceedings as we noticed were quite irregular in the sense that High Court proposed of 3 justices considered by 3 justices of the High Court, and that's in accordance with Article 19 of the Constitution. And it was a trial that was painstakingly conducted by the prosecution. The trial, if you remember, started actually on a Saturday, or started on 24th April 2021, a Saturday. because the seriousness of the occasion, the Chief Justice was compelled to put together a court on that day, and I came to open the trial. And so we must commend the High Court for painstakingly conducting this trial, and actually I appreciated the meticulous examination of the evidence. It was a judgment that lasted over 3 hours, and one that I think clearly will find its way into the records of law as far as Ghana is concerned. And again, I would reiterate that initially people thought that the whole thing was child's play. They were actually trying to even mock the attempt. But you saw the evidence that was laid at the trial. Copious evidence showing systematic attempt by people to organize the overthrow of the government of Ghana. It started from not only meetings, but of course a concerted effort to put together arms and ammunition, and they actually prepared arms and ammunition to that effect. It was a trial that we put on trial about 10 persons, 5 of them being military officers, a colonel even involved, and other military officers of various ranks, as well as a police officer, as well as one civilian who is part of the Ghana Armed Forces, works in the Ghana, a civilian employee in the Ghana Armed Forces. So really the effort was quite systematic, it was very deliberate, and the prosecution was able to establish clearly all the concerted efforts of the various persons, 6 of them who were convicted. And I believe, of course, the first accused would also have been convicted, Dr. McPalm, because he was actually the grand architect of the whole scheme. But for his untimely demise, clearly, I'm sure he would also have been convicted, and therefore 7 of them would have been convicted. But today we had 6 out of the 9 people convicted. And for me, it sends a strong signal to the nation that any attempt at all to destabilize the nation, any attempt to organize the overthrow of the constitution will not be countenanced and will be taken quite seriously.
Well, ACP Agordzo obviously has been speaking, right?
So like a bird out of the fowler's snare, he was very, very excited.
Jehovah is your name, mighty warrior, strong in battle. Jehovah is your name.
9 years after being accused, the acquittal comes in.
It is joy. We give glory to God. He alone has made it. You heard the judgment, and you saw all the rebuttals. I don't need to talk again. They knew it was falsehood, but they continued to perpetuate it and push it hard. It didn't work.
You push for
God doesn't fail. Now you want to ask what action next? Don't worry. I'll talk to my lawyers, and then we will talk to the media at the appropriate time. So thank you very much.
How does it feel to be free after 5 years?
Well, I've always been free within my heart. I've always been free because I knew how it was going to end. From the beginning, I knew that is how it's going to end today. I didn't know when it was going to end, but I knew how it was going to end. It's like watching a movie, a replay with somebody. You know the end, but the person doesn't know. So you people didn't know the end. I knew the end.
What about family members?
Also, he was not alone. Like Liverpool people will say, you would never walk alone. And so the family members were there, expressed excitement.
It's been acquitted and discharged. How does it feel?
Very great. We knew from day one that this is how it was going to end. Only that we don't know the particular day that it will end. But we knew, because the state has no case to prove. Nothing to prove. You heard the judges today. There was nothing to prove. So we are glad and we give all the praise to God.
Right. I mean, in the family, were there a bit of some scare that possibly he could have, this verdict could have gone other way?
We knew our brother. He wasn't only a brother. He is a friend, a father, and everything to us. We knew him, and we know him, we continue to know him. And we knew that the family has no doubt about his involvement. The family knew that he wasn't part of it, and that it was a frame-up. The family is very great, very good, grateful to God, and we look forward to the future after talking to our lawyer and the necessary steps we'll take.
Are you going to have any party? I mean, any victory party?
We'll communicate that to you if there will be.